I hope I didn't spoil the perfect record of pins and ribbons solving all the world's problems. I mean, you can't name a problem from guns to bullying to breast cancer that still exists after people wore a ribbon for it. Except all of them. You posers. 3 years ago, everybody was all into Ukrainian flags. What happened to that? Another cause tossed into the junk drawer with yesterday's choke collar? Get out of here with your virtue-signaling body ornaments. They're just crucifixes for liberals.
Let's be honest for a minute. In today's world, nothing signals I'm making a difference faster than a small pin on a designer suit while someone walks a red carpet, smiling for cameras and sipping champagne. That's where we're at. Award season shows up, the cameras start flashing, and suddenly every celebrity becomes deeply invested in a cause. But that passion usually lasts only as long as the headlines do. Once the next trending issue appears, the old one quietly disappears. For a lot of people watching at home, this routine feels less inspiring and more exhausting, like we're watching the same performance on repeat every single year. The Golden Globes followed that exact pattern. Politics didn't just appear in the background. It completely took over the night. Instead of focusing on the films, performances, or the hard work behind them, the spotlight shifted to messaging. Celebrities wore pins as if they were badges, meant to send a clear message. I care, and I want you to see that I care. And to be fair, caring isn't the problem. Having opinions isn't wrong. Speaking out isn't wrong either. The real issue is that the appearance of caring has slowly replaced real action. Doing something that actually helps is usually slow, complicated, and uncomfortable. It doesn't look good in photos, and it doesn't fit neatly into a short clip online. So it gets ignored. What we're left with is a culture where symbolism feels more important than results. Wearing a pin, sharing a slogan, or repeating the right words has become the goal, not the starting point. It's easier, safer, and far more glamorous than dealing with real-world problems that don't have quick solutions. The message becomes less about change and more about being seen on the right side, especially when millions of people are watching. And then you have Bill Maher. Whether you agree with him or not, he's never been someone who quietly goes along with the crowd. While most people on the red carpet were following the usual script, Maher chose to step away from it. When a reporter asked why he wasn't wearing a pin for the latest cause everyone was promoting, his answer cut straight to the point. He said the situation being discussed was clearly serious and tragic, but he didn't believe wearing jewelry was proof of intelligence, compassion, or awareness. His message was simple: you can care without performing it. In a room full of people trying to show concern in the most visible way possible, Maher questioned whether any of it actually made a difference. He wasn't denying the problem or dismissing its importance. He was challenging the idea that public displays equal meaningful impact. And that's what made the moment stand out. While others were focused on being seen caring, he pushed back on whether caring had turned into just another red carpet accessory.
As we're now right in the middle of awards season here in Hollywood, how about everybody drop the politics for a couple of hours and just enjoy these happy, dopey celebrations of show business? You know, I was up for a Golden Globe this month and... Oh, thank you. Okay. I'll put it with the 33 Emmys I lost. That's a real number. And walking in, some reporter asked me why I wasn't wearing a lapel pin for the first Minneapolis shooting a couple of weeks ago, and I said, well, it was a terrible thing that happened, and it shouldn't have happened, and if they didn't act like such thugs, it wouldn't have had to happen, but I don't need to wear a pin about it. Now, please understand, I had no idea this question was coming, and so tonight I'd like to say that if I had the chance to think about it, my answer would be exactly the same.
And this is exactly where people completely lose it. In today's culture, there's an unspoken rule. If you don't wear the symbol, you must be against the cause. That's how shallow the conversation has become. The question is no longer, do you actually care? It's, did you post about it? Did you wear the pin? Did you repeat the slogan? If you didn't take part in the public display, you're treated like you committed some unforgivable act in front of everyone. Silence, or even neutrality, is now seen as guilt. Underneath all the sarcasm, jokes, and eye-rolling, Maher's point is actually very straightforward. Serious moral issues don't belong in the same category as fashion trends. A small metal pin doesn't stop violence. A ribbon doesn't cure illness. A hashtag doesn't change bad laws. A polished graphic doesn't put food on a family's table. These symbols might make people feel good for a moment, but they don't solve real problems. They don't replace hard decisions, long-term work, or uncomfortable conversations. Yet we keep pretending they do. We act like the world runs on appearances and good vibes. As if, when enough famous people wear the same badge or repeat the same phrase, the universe will suddenly correct itself and say, "All right, lesson learned." It's a comforting idea, but it's not reality. Real change doesn't come from being seen doing the right thing. It comes from doing the hard thing, even when no one is watching and there's nothing glamorous about it.
But then I'll be out to dinner, and the waiter will come over and say, "Big fan, Bill, stay strong." About what? And then when I see what it is, I'm like, holy, this is what you people are so worked up about? According to the internet, what I did with my comments at the Globes was laugh, scoff, mock, take a dig at, and refuse to join Golden Globes activism. Golden Globes activism? Oh, you mean the activism of fixing a pin to my suit?
That's exactly why his comment lands so strongly. Try to name a single major problem: gun violence, bullying, cancer, poverty, corruption, that disappeared because people wore the right ribbon or shared the right image. You can't. And that doesn't mean awareness is always useless. In some cases, it matters. The real problem is that we've turned awareness into the end goal instead of the starting point. We act as if simply acknowledging an issue is the same thing as actually fixing it. And those two things are not even close. What we've done is lower the bar so much that showing concern now counts as progress. Saying the words, wearing the symbol, or posting the message has become the win. But none of that changes outcomes on its own. Problems don't care how visible they are. They only respond to action, effort, and follow-through. When awareness replaces responsibility, nothing really moves forward. The best way to describe it is this. Imagine a house burning to the ground. Instead of grabbing water or calling for help, someone shows up, takes a selfie in front of the flames with a Stop House Fires stick on their shirt, then heads off to a party. And somehow, they are praised for being bold and compassionate. Meanwhile, the house is still burning. That's performative activism in a nutshell. It's activism designed to look good, feel good, and earn applause, without ever having to do the hard, messy work that actually puts out the fire.
I hope I didn't spoil the perfect record of pins and ribbons solving all the world's problems. I mean, you can't name a problem from guns to bullying to breast cancer that still exists after people wore a ribbon for it. Except all of them. You posers.
Maher isn't just criticizing a pin or a single gesture. He's calling out the entire mood that takes over award shows every year. His frustration is about how these events, which are supposed to be fun and focus on celebrating movies and television, turn into non-stop political theater. His question is a fair one. Can we not pause this routine for just a couple of hours? Can we enjoy an award show for what it's meant to be without every speech turning into a lesson about morality, justice, or global issues? Because the reality is, a lot of people watching from home don't feel inspired by these moments. They feel disconnected from them. They are not thinking, "Thank you, wealthy celebrity in designer clothes. I needed your guidance." They are thinking about their own lives. Groceries are getting more expensive. Rent keeps going up. Cars break down. Medical bills pile up. Life feels heavy. And when someone standing on a stage worth millions starts lecturing them about how they should think or act, it doesn't land as wisdom. It lands as frustration. That disconnect is the core of the problem. Celebrities don't just have more money than most people. They live in a completely different world. Private jets instead of long flights. Multiple homes instead of worrying about rent. Security teams, assistants, and layers of protection from everyday consequences. It's not just a higher income. It's a separate reality where normal rules don't apply the same way. So when someone from that world presents themselves as a moral voice of ordinary people, it can feel hollow, even insulting. It starts to look like activism squeezed into a busy luxury schedule. A serious issue was discussed between a Pilates class and a brand launch. Big statements made on a stage, followed by applause, and then life goes on exactly the same. That's why people roll their eyes. Not because the issues don't matter, but because the messenger doesn't feel grounded in the same struggles as the audience. And yes, before anyone says it, celebrities are citizens too. They absolutely have a right to speak. No one is arguing that they should be silent. Maher's point is simpler and more honest than that. You can speak, but you can't be shocked when people don't automatically take you seriously. Being talented doesn't mean you're informed. Being famous doesn't mean you're wise. Being admired doesn't mean you're trusted. What makes it worse is that most of this activism comes with almost no personal risk. It's safe. It's socially approved. It costs nothing. There's no real sacrifice involved. Supporting the right cause in the right way on the right stage often brings praise, applause, and even career benefits. And when activism becomes risk-free, it stops being brave. It turns into performance. And that's the part Maher's pushing back against.
Congratulations for raising awareness. The awareness you really care about, which is how wonderful you are. Ricky Gervais once told the award show crowd, "Don't use it as a platform to make a political speech. You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world." And of course, this is where celebrities say, "How dare you? We're citizens with just as much right to speak out." Agreed. You absolutely do. I'm just saying, don't.
That's what ultimately makes all of this feel so empty. Real activism comes with a cost. It demands time, money, energy, and sometimes even relationships, opportunities, or personal safety. Real commitment means you're willing to lose something for what you claim to believe in. It means standing by an issue even when it stops being popular, even when it becomes uncomfortable, and even when there's no applause waiting for you at the end. Pin activism, on the other hand, is the safest move imaginable. There's no downside. You wear the symbol, you get praise, you collect applause, and you earn good headlines. And when that cause becomes awkward, controversial, or simply unfashionable, you quietly take the pin off and move on. No consequences. No sacrifice. Nothing actually changes in your life. That's why Maher calling out the pin culture hits such a nerve. It exposes how low the bar has been set. The Ukraine moment is a perfect example. For a while, blue and yellow were everywhere. Big speeches, emotional statements, endless "we stand with you" messages. Celebrities made sure the world knew where they stood. Then time passed. The algorithm found something new. Another crisis took over the spotlight, and suddenly the symbols disappeared. The support faded, but the suffering didn't stop. The war didn't end because famous people wore the right colors for a season. What changed wasn't the situation, it was the attention. And that's the uncomfortable truth. For a lot of Hollywood, causes aren't long-term commitments. They are trends. And like all trends, they have expiration dates. Once the moment passes and the cameras move on, so does the so-called activism. That's why it feels hollow. Because when belief only lasts as long as it's convenient, it was never really belief to begin with.
3 years ago, everybody was all into Ukrainian flags. What happened to that? Another cause tossed into the junk drawer with yesterday's choke collar? Get out of here with your virtue-signaling body ornaments. They're just crucifixes for liberals. Because every time I see one, I think, Jesus Christ.
This is a part no one really wants to say out loud. A lot of celebrity activism follows attention, not principle. It's not driven by what matters most, but by what's currently in the spotlight. And that spotlight is ruthless. It's always hungry for something new. It doesn't reward consistency or long-term commitment. It rewards whatever gets clicks right now. Once the attention shifts, so does a passion. That's why you see the same cycle over and over. 1 month it's black squares. The next month it's flags. Then it's protect this, followed by ban that, then stand with this, then boycott that. Every cause arrives with big emotion and loud declarations, and then quietly fades when the next issue takes over. A year later, many of the same people can't even remember what they were so outraged about before. Not because the issue was solved, but because the algorithm moved on. So when Maher calls his behavior fake or performative, it sounds harsh, but you can understand where it's coming from. People aren't exhausted by empathy itself. They are exhausted by the performance of empathy, the rituals, the same recycled speeches, the same serious tone on stage, the same energy of I'm being brave by saying something everyone in this room already agrees with. It starts to feel hollow, repetitive, and disconnected from real life. What makes this even more uncomfortable is that the issues being discussed are often genuinely complicated. Maher even points out that it's not taking the easy route of reducing everything to a simple good guy versus bad guy story. He's saying reality is messy, problems have layers, and pretending you engage with any of that complexity by wearing a pin is not just lazy, it's insulting. It turns real suffering into a red carpet accessory. The reaction to Maher says a lot. He makes one comment, one small refusal to play along, and suddenly people are messaging him like he's going through some kind of crisis. Stay strong. We support you. As if he just took a dangerous stand instead of simply choosing not to wear jewelry. His response, support me for what? Is funny, but it's also kind of depressing. It shows just how warped the culture has become, when not participating in the performance is treated like an act of bravery.
Yes, the same. Ice, thugs, pins, stupid. I'm with me on this one. So no need to keep sending supporting texts. Yeah. You know how I hear about whatever my latest scandal is? I open my phone and there's a dozen texts. I support you. Great. I assumed you did. About what? What are we talking about? I'm sorry, I don't get my gossip from the internet like most people. I get it old school from the girls at the nail salon.
Because it shows how online culture turns everything into a moral emergency. Every comment becomes a scandal. Every disagreement turns into a battle. And half the time, the people losing their minds don't even know what actually happened. They just know they're supposed to be angry. That's the part that should worry everyone. We're training people to outsource their opinions to the internet. We're teaching them to react instantly and understand later, if ever. The goal isn't truth or clarity anymore. The goal is to be seen on the right side as fast as possible. What that creates is a culture where appearing good matters more than actually doing good, where performance beats substance, where the punishment for not joining the ritual isn't disagreement, but social exile. Say the wrong thing, or say nothing at all, and suddenly you're treated like a villain. Not because you caused harm, but because you didn't play your role in the public display. That's not healthy. It discourages real thought and rewards loud conformity. Maher also brings up another uncomfortable truth. Celebrity involvement in politics can backfire. Not always, but often enough that it's impossible to ignore. We've all seen the routine. A political candidate rolls out a lineup of famous faces like it's a halftime show. The expectation is that people will feel inspired. But many don't. Instead, they feel talked down to. Like, oh great, the billionaire singer and the actor with 6 houses are here to explain what's best for my family. That message doesn't land the way Hollywood thinks it does. The average person is worried about basics, rent, groceries, gas, bills, safety, schools, and work. When celebrities jump into politics from a place of extreme comfort, it can feel like cultural elites trying to run the country from penthouse. Even when the intentions are good, the delivery feels wrong. The problem isn't the cause, it's a messenger. People don't reject these messages because they hate movies or music. They reject them because they don't like being lectured by someone who doesn't live their reality. Trust comes from shared experience, not applause and fame. And when that trust isn't there, no amount of star power can replace it.
It's having the opposite effect of what you want. Every big name in show business came out for Kamala Harris, from Oprah to Clooney to Beyonce, and she lost every swing state. A survey of Ohio voters found Taylor Swift's endorsement actually had a negative impact, with 24% saying it made them less enthusiastic about her as a candidate. Come on. Read the room, Democrats.
And that's the real irony in all of this. A lot of celebrity activism doesn't inspire people at all. It does the opposite. It creates eye rolls, skepticism, and cynicism. It pushes people who are neutral into becoming annoyed. Messages that might have been heard if delivered differently turn into background noise or outright resistance. Instead of thinking, maybe I'll listen, people think, please stop. And then Hollywood seems genuinely confused about why the public isn't grateful for the guidance. But the reason isn't mysterious. People don't ask for life advice from someone who treats luxury products or vanity projects as meaningful contributions to society. That gap in perspective matters. Maher's point isn't that celebrities are useless or shouldn't exist. It's actually the opposite. He's saying it's perfectly fine that they are stars. We like stars. We want stars. We enjoy people who live glamorous lives, make art, entertain us, and think big. That's part of why we watch movies and shows in the first place. The problem starts when fame gets confused with authority. Being well-known doesn't automatically make someone a deep thinker or public philosopher. Popularity isn't the same thing as insight. Maher is calling on celebrities to stop treating their fame like proof of credibility, especially on complicated issues that affect people who live very different lives. When he points out that celebrities often criticize privilege while benefiting from the biggest privilege of all, it lands hard because it's accurate. Privilege isn't just about money. It's about being protected from consequences. It's being able to be wrong again and again without paying a price. It's living in a bubble where everyone agrees with you, where disagreement is labeled harmful, and where repeating slogans takes a place of real understanding. And when activism grows out of that kind of bubble, it's no surprise that people stop taking it seriously.
Celebrities aren't helping. And why would they? In a country where the big issue now is affordability, outside of, Springsteen and a few others, celebrities don't strike people as relatable or in touch. And what their activism mostly activates is eye rolls. Because stars, they're not just like us. They're just not. They fly private. They have 5 houses all over the world. They give their kids ridiculous names. They make candles that smell like they're...
So what's the actual solution here? Is anyone saying celebrities should never speak about serious issues? No, that's not realistic, and it's not even the point. The issue isn't speaking out, it's how they do it. The solution is simple but uncomfortable. If you're going to speak, do it like you actually mean it. Put something on the line. Invest time, money, or effort into something real. Help build organizations that last. Support people on the ground who understand a problem better than you ever could. Do the work quietly, without turning it into a branding exercise. And sure, if you want to wear a pin, fine. No one is banning pins. Just don't pretend that a pin is a personality, a full moral framework, and a heroic act all rolled into one. Because people can tell when it's fake. Instantly. They can tell when something is done because a publicist suggested it. They can tell when someone is terrified of backlash on social media. They can tell when the goal is applause, not impact. And the more obvious that becomes, the more people mentally check out. That's the real damage of performative activism. It doesn't just fail to help, it actively makes things worse. When people tune out the performance, they also tune out the issue itself. Even real causes end up suffering because audiences become cynical and numb. They stop listening altogether. That's a tragedy here. What starts as raising awareness ends with people rolling their eyes and changing the channel. That's why Maher's refusal resonated with so many people. Not because everyone agrees with every word he says, but because it felt honest. In a room full of carefully planned gestures, scripted seriousness, and symbolic choreography, he didn't play along. He didn't recite the approved lines. He didn't pretend that wearing the right accessory counted as courage. He simply pushed back on the idea that morality can be worn like fashion. What he was really saying was straightforward. If you care, show it with substance, not symbols. Don't confuse visibility with virtue. Don't mistake performance for principle. And don't be shocked when people stop listening if all you offer is optics. And that's where I land on this too. I'm exhausted by politics treated like fashion. Exhausted by symbolic gestures being praised as heroism. Exhausted by wealthy, insulated people performing moral purity while the rest of the country is just trying to get by. And I have a feeling a lot of people watching feel the exact same way.
Please, it's okay. You're stars. We like you for who you are. Insulated divas whose talent allows you to pig out on the finer things in life because we all need something to aspire to. But being talented, which you are, isn't the same as knowing things or having the credibility to advise people on their politics. You rail against privilege, but you avail yourself of the greatest privilege of all, to remain clueless.
So here's the real question, and it's worth asking honestly. Do you think celebrity activism actually helps? Does it hurt? Or does it mostly just leave people feeling more cynical than before? And what does real commitment even look like anymore? Because to me, it doesn't look flashy or dramatic. It looks slow. It looks boring. It looks like long-term work that doesn't come with applause. It means writing checks when no one is watching, showing up after the cameras move on, staying involved when the cause stops trending and starts getting complicated. Real commitment means being willing to take criticism, even from your own side. It means sticking with something when it costs you comfort, popularity, or opportunities. That's the moment when I start to believe someone. Not when they wear the right symbol at the right event, but when they keep going after the attention disappears. That's the difference between belief and branding. Until then, people are tired. Tired of pinned speeches. Tired of red carpet righteousness. Tired of compassion that looks like costume jewelry, easy to put on, easy to take off, and mostly there for show. If you genuinely want to change the world, that's great. No one is stopping you. But actually try. Do the work. Don't confuse visibility with virtue. And don't expect a standing ovation just for signaling that you care. And if you've stuck around this long, you already know the deal. Like the video, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those conversations that actually matters. Are you in the symbols still matter camp, or do you think pins are mostly pointless at this point? And where do you draw the line between awareness and performance? I'm genuinely curious. I'll see you in the next one.